So let's start with team number one, as you naturally do. Team Architect, pitching their idea for the intelligent architectural design software.
Meet Nick. Nick is the Director of Acquisition for Marcon, a leading Canadian property development firm. Nick's responsibility is finding the best pieces of property for Marcon to eventually develop. The way that he does this is a 5-step process, beginning with land assessment and culminating in the decision to acquire and build that property. Now, one of the challenges that Nick faces is a lot of the property that he looks at isn't even worth his time. So the process he uses to determine what is actually worth further investigating is a pre-due diligence process. And I want to build out a little bit more on that. So, when Nick is introduced to a property, he'll go out to it and he'll take various observations and measurements. Using those, he'll go back to the office and he'll open up SketchUp, a manual computer drawing program. In SketchUp, he'll begin to build out his model of what he imagines a potential building by Marcon could look there. He'll then import that into AutoCAD and put on the final touches. Based on his AutoCAD model, he'll then calculate key financial ratios. Using a combination of his model as well as his ratios, he'll build a project pro forma. Now, developers use project pro formas to answer one simple question. Can we make money on this investment? Now that probably sounds like a reasonably complicated process, and that's because it is. It currently takes Nick about 12 hours to complete it. And that's a problem, because Nick makes $35 an hour, and Nick is spending 12 hours building out this analysis, and Nick does about 25 of these every single year. That means that Marcon is spending over $10,000 on the pre-due diligence phase. When you multiply that by the 650 property developers in Canada, as well as almost 7,000 in the USA, that means that in North America, this is an $80.3 billion problem. And that's where we come in, with Architect. So, similar to before, Nick will go out and take his observations and measurements. But when he gets back to the office, he'll now open the Architect web application. In the application, he'll enter his key inputs: the address, the square footage of the property, any physical constraints associated with it, as well as any customization options based on what he wants to develop on that site. That information will then be relayed back to our proprietary back-end optimization algorithm that's been developed by Dr. Shami. This algorithm will automatically generate a set of mathematically optimized floor plates, as well as simultaneously calculating the key financial ratios. With Architect, a process that used to take Nick hours now takes minutes.
And in this industry, minutes matter. Now, we've identified 3 primary challenges that property developers face every single day: low margins, intense competition, and large capital investments. So we asked ourselves, how can Architect attack these challenges? And we think that it can expand margins by lowering the cost of pre-due diligence. It can better equip these firms to compete, because now that due diligence process is much faster and more agile, and it's going to ensure investors that their capital is being backed up by an accurate pro forma, and most importantly, the best floor plan software in the industry. So we've actually quantified these benefits. After just 10 assessments, these companies will break even over their current process, but we know that they actually do 20 to 30 of these every single year, meaning that they will see a $10,000 cost-saving benefit. And let's go back to Nick. Now, the thing about Nick is he's going to be able to better execute his job now, because maybe instead of 30 properties per year, maybe he's going to look at 100, and he's going to find new value where he never has before. So the next question becomes, how do we do this? How do we take this technology to market? And we've divided this into 3 distinct phases. Now, initially, we need to incorporate, and we need to have a licensing agreement. We also want to collaborate with World Discoveries and Dr. Shami. Additionally, we want to form a working team with Marcon and get their valid industry input, and we want to hire a quality front-end developer to make sure our user experience is optimal. The second step, how do we get a customer? And we're going to do this through an industry standard best practice trial experience. We want our product to be so good that when we take it away, they can't live without it. We're going to charge $6,000 for a yearly subscription, and we're going to hire a sales team and focus on the Toronto and Vancouver real estate markets. Lastly, we want our product to be scalable. We want to add functionality on a regular basis, and we're going to source private financing so we can really fuel that expansion throughout North America. We're Architect. Thank you, and come join us, and let's redefine real estate.